Welcome to this channel. Keep liking. Please make sure you subscribe and don't forget to please keep sharing. In the news, the Supreme Court said Rivers State was administered like a military administration. Who said this? OCJ Okocha. Rivers State has once again come to the epicenter of political debate as concerns about its style of governance spark fresh outreach among legal experts and civil society. Behind the veneer of calm lies a simmering crisis, with many questioning the true nature of peace in the oil-rich state. The simmering tensions, fueled by executive overreach and disputes over local government autonomy, have cast a shadow over Rivers' democratic credentials. In the recent months, the withholding of federal allocations to local governments and controversial administrative decisions have deepened divisions. Residents and political observers alike have expressed growing unease about the state's direction, fearing the erosion of democratic institutions and the rise of authoritarian tendencies. Many argued that the political atmosphere resembles more of a command and control regime than a democratic government. The judiciary has stepped in to play a crucial role, with the Supreme Court delivering landmark rulings aimed at restoring constitutional order and reinforcing the separation of powers. These rulings serve as a stark reminder that no government, regardless of its power, is above the law. On Voice TV, senior lawyer and former NBA president OCJ Okocha did not hold back in his assessment of the situation. He declared, "People don't want to admit the obvious. Some people are still saying Rivers State was peaceful. There is what we call the peace of the graveyard." He went on to underline the Supreme Court's verdict. The Supreme Court, the apex court in Nigeria, the highest court in the land, said that Rivers State was being administered as if we were under a military administration. Okocha's candid remarks have reignited calls for urgent reforms and a return to genuine democratic governance in Rivers State. Those were the submissions of the senior advocate of Nigeria, a former NBA president. But what is not clear in what he's saying is the fact that is it the sole administrator that is purely, administering the state as a military, government, or it was the issue of the crisis of Fubara and Wike, and during that time it was Fubara that is using a military approach, because this thing ought to be clear. And if it is the latter, it means that what he said the Supreme Court has said might be a buttress or a buffer for the decision made by the president even to declare a state of emergency in that state. But if it is because of the former, that it is the sole administrator now that is administering the state like as if it's a military government, then there is need for the administrator to listen to voice of reason, hear what the stakeholders who owns Rivers State are saying, I mean the people, and he should be able to give them the best. That's just the reality. I may not have a hold on what currently the Supreme Court has said and what is happening in Rivers State, but it is clear that as of today, it is a sole administrator that is operating and leading that state because of the declaration of the state of emergency by the president, supported by the National Assembly with their two-thirds majority. But be it as it may, it is important and essential for the sole administrator, if he's the one Mr. Okocha is referring to sheath every sword and then sit down on the round table and be able to begin to talk to Nigerians, especially people of Rivers State. Because the man is trying to tell us now, CJ Okocha, that there is no peace. The kind of peace that is being experienced in Rivers State now is like the graveyard peace, the peace of trying to retreat in order for you to relaunch, meaning that if there is any little break anywhere, there may be a serious, fracas, coming out, breaking forth in Rivers State, which might eventually not help the state. It might at the end of the day set the state on fire. But we wouldn't want that. We are not praying for such. And that is why whoever is saddled with the responsibility of leading that state now should please come to a round table and then douse every tension, then make people, have happy about their state. That's number one. Number two, of course, he must also be working towards the restoration of a democratic governance, because as a sole administrator, he only has 6 months to spend there. If the parties in question settle themselves, he should be ready. In fact, my advice for him is to begin to work towards making sure that democracy is restored in this nation, and no other form of government, in quote now, that is not people oriented will be encouraged. Because truly speaking, a sole administration is not different from a military rule, because he's sole administrator. He administers everything by his own fiat and power, and he has derived or received his power from the National Assembly and the president, who were given that opportunity by the Constitution. So they need to do that. Very, very important. He must work towards handing over, very, very germane, to make sure that the people of Rivers State will be happy that the mandate they handed out, even though it was suspended for 6 months, at least it has been restored, and let the people enjoy a close relationship with government. Because we won't doubt the fact that if they voted for somebody, they felt that they can approach the person. But for a sole administrator whom they know nothing about, a new sheriff in town, might be difficult to approach, especially when there is no, in quote, na democratic institution around, even to checkmate him, or to give leverage even to the people, such that they will know that, oh, this man is reachable through this means or the other means. Very, very important. But then Mr. Okocha is really, really calling for urgent reforms and a return to genuine democratic government, even in Rivers State, and the earlier the better. I think at this junction there's need for us to, open up and tell Fubara to take his time and be proactive and quickly resolve the matter, and also speak to Wike's conscience that he should allow his own state to breathe. He should allow his people to enjoy the dividends of democracy, and give chance to Fubara. Let him lead. Wherever he makes any mistake, he as his predecessor can come forth, even to guide him and to correct him where necessary. But you shouldn't allow the state to degenerate into this kind of unnecessary bickering anymore. And that is what will help the state even to move forward. And if it is Fubara that is, sponsoring the heat all over, it should stop, so that there can be peace at the end of the day. Remember to subscribe to our channel. Make sure you like, and please share.